I'm going to stand up.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I spent hours last night putting myself together. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having us here. We've been so excited. 2 weeks ago, I even felt sick because I was so excited. My first time in Norway, and for a very good cause. So happy. Yeah, well, I was asked to talk about how I find my strength in all what I do. Well, you know, attending venues like this, you know, giving a platform where I have to be center of attention, you know, for something that happened to me about 26 years ago. I was 11 years old when I was caught. I was caught together with my sisters and my cousins. We were 15 in number because my grandmother was the one who arranged everything because it was her pride to see us, you know, being transformed from a girl to this woman, you know, because for we as Sierra Leonean, is a rite of passage, is a way of training you as a girl to become a woman. So it doesn't matter what age you are. Once you've been to the Bundo Society, as it's called in my country, you're a woman. Once you've been caught, you're seen as a woman. So let's say my 2-year-old cousin who was caught along with us, let's say maybe if she come out of the Bundo bush and someone can ask for her hand in marriage, she will not be ready to get married, but everybody will know that she's somebody's bride to be. So that's how it is. So you see, all this preparation will happen. There will be party. There will be lots of gifts. For me, I was so excited. Different from Layla, I come from a very poor background. So I only get gifts once every Christmas, like new clothes or maybe shoes, if I'm lucky. So I have to watch my mom and my grandmother put together for us box full of clothes. You know, there's plenty gift. So for me, I couldn't wait because I'm gonna, after the Bundo ceremony, I will be dressing up every day, you know, because you have to look very decent because any man can come and ask for your hand in marriage. This is how it is. So very excited, you know. Like I said, I was 11 years old when I was caught. You've heard part of the story. I'm not going to bore you with that. But for me, you know, I didn't know what was involved. I just know I'm going to become a woman and I will feel accepted into my community. As young as I was, you were not fit to sit among certain women or even girls your age. You know, you cannot go certain gatherings because you're not part of them. So you're seen like as an outsider, so you want to feel included. So it's all of that. So not knowing what was actually going to happen to us or what it means for me as an adult or maybe the young woman I was going to become. You know, after I came out of the Bundo bush, now before we came out of the Bundo bush, I have to share this. I was caught twice. You see, everybody have different experience. Even if you were caught on the same day or by the same quarter. If all of us were to tell our story, you will hear us speak in a different way because we all experienced FGM in a different way and it affected us differently. We might have similarities, you know, the physical parts, but the psychological parts might be different. You see, I was caught twice because I was struggling so much. So, and the cutters, they're always drunk. So you see, I was caught by the Soways. You see, let me tell you a bit about the Bundo Society. How it's different from Somali or Nigeria, for instance. The only country I know that is very similar is the Gambia, because they do the ceremony and the rituals the same way we do. Because I get to find out years later when I traveled to the Gambia that it was so. That was when I kind of accept the practice. I was struggling so much because I didn't know what was expected. what was going to happen. I was pinned down like every other girl. We were blindfolded. But I was very, very excited to go into the Bundo Society. We were taken away from the town into the Bundo bush because it's a secret area set for the practice. You cannot trespass. It's different. Like some other girls were caught in their living room, maybe the back garden, or maybe at the doctor's place. No, it's not so. For most Sierra Leoneans, unless the ones who have parents who probably they know of the consequences of being caught together or being caught with unsterilized, knife or blade, or maybe unclean area, probably they would make sure they make short arrangements. But for we have to go into the Bundo bush. You have to walk the walk. You have to dance the dance. It's all changing now because of all of this campaigning and the noise people cause out there about how barbaric this practice is. But before, people don't know about it. It is very, very secretive. In our time, we don't have a clue. And my dad is from a non-practicing community. Mm-hmm. And he was against the practice, but he was unable to protect me and my sisters because my mom separated with my dad when she was pregnant with me. So we were left with the fate of my grandmother. We were taken into the Bundo bush. There was music. I was dancing, drummers, The structure of the Bundo Society in Sierra Leone, you have the men who are the head. They are called the Sokos. And then you have the women who are the cutters. They are called the Sowes. And these Sowes are initiated by the Sokos. So they must have gone through the Bundo Society, which is known to you as FGM, before they can qualify to become a cutter. Now, the way it is work is a family trait thing. It's a rite of passage as well. So if my grandmother was a cutter, any one of maybe my mom or my sisters or even my cousins can be chosen to take over her. So that's how it is. So if they choose you, you cannot deny it. They will just give you this gift and you have to take up the responsibilities. So that's how it is. So even the cutters, they are victims themselves. You see? So that's how it is set. So for we have to go through that procedure to become a Bundo Pikin, Bundo child, as it's called, For you to become a woman, you have to go through that. There are a lot of ceremonies, during the practice. So we spend weeks in the Bundo bush, And this was during the school holidays. We spent weeks there. So for me, when I was pinned down to be caught, for me, I didn't know until when I was forcefully pinned down and this woman sat on my chest. As you heard, by the way, I was the lady with the red head.
Yeah, she has different hair colors all the time,
yeah. So when she sat on me, that's when it really gets to me that, this is not what I was expecting. Because they keep using the word that you're not clean. I thought it was going to be like all these traditional herbs. They're going to wash you clean. Because every time a girl come out of the Bundo bush, they're very decent. They come out different, So I was pinned down, and I could just feel a sharp cut between my legs. And at this time, I did not even know what it is they were cutting. I just know they were removing something of my private part. And it was so painful. So this woman still sat on me to my side. There were pots with herbs, just traditional medicine leaves. Hot from the fire, it was placed in the wound. Yeah, this was to stop us from catching infection. So then we were wrapped up, taken to a separate room where all my sisters were sitting. Now, we couldn't wash for the first 3 days. It's part of the ceremony. So on the third day, very early in the morning, we went to the riverside to wash for the first time. And when we get there, they find out that I was still bleeding. Everybody else stopped bleeding. When they removed the clot, it was pumping. And then I was taken back into the Bundo bush because all of my clitoris was not removed. Now, in Sierra Leone, the most common type is type 2. But type 2 can mean anything. It depends on the cutter. Mm-hmm. They make the decision for you. So, you see, for me, the classification, is good for people who don't understand so that you know the different level and what amount is removed. But even if it's type 1 or type 3 or 4, it is still violence, like Leila said. The moment you've been forcefully pinned down, and we know this area to be private, nobody should touch that. When someone gets to that part, you know, yeah, something wrong is going on. As young as I was, I know it was wrong. Even though I don't know what was child abuse. I don't even know. I've never even heard of that word in my life. Yeah, never. But I knew it was wrong. So I was taken back into the Bundo bush. And this time I know what was going to happen. It was a big struggle. Even my mom and my grandmother could not face it this time. So I was caught again, and I have to wait for another 3 days before I could wash. You see, so when I came out a very angry child. I was rude. You see, when you come out of the Bundo bush, the cutters who were the seways, these are highly respected people in the community. When you see them, you cannot stand tall and pass them. You have to squat to show sign of respect. Me, when I see them, heads up, chest out, and I just walk past. I have regard for nobody. And most importantly, you cannot pour water on them. So, like, where I grew up, we always wash our clothes at the riverside. Everybody come to the riverside, the stones, the water flows, very clean. So when the seways come, everybody have to stop what they're doing, because even if by accident, you cannot put water on them. It's disrespectful. Me, if I'm pounding my clothes, I'll put more water, and I'll pound hard so that, you know, just to annoy them. I was so for that reason, nobody respects me, even though I should be respected as someone who's been to the Bundo Society, because I didn't respect anybody. Anyhow, I got pregnant. That's a story for another day. I went through hell. My son is here, he's 19 years old. Now, when it was time for me to give birth, I was taken back into the Bundo bush so that they could teach me some lesson. Yeah, that's a story for another day. But when I had my son, I had a tear. Remember the way I was cut twice and I had scar tissue around my vagina opening. So this area that's supposed to stretch for the baby to come out would not stretch. They don't have any ideas, these women, apart from them having children and cutting vaginas. That's all they know. So for me, all I could hear is push, 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 push. The baby come out, I have a tear. It was not looked after. The baby was fine, I was fine. So what happened? The wound healed up by itself, but locking my vagina opening, leaving it smaller than its normal size. I was fine. The war came, we went to the Gambia. And when I get to the Gambia, everybody was crazy about this FGM thing. And it was similar to how we do it. So I said to myself, oh, they did the right thing for me. So it became normal again. Then I traveled to England, found myself in Newcastle. Strange land, where it does not even feel like England. When they speak, I can understand them. Someone else has to translate for me. But yes, I don't understand English. You'll be like, well, yeah, man. You don't, what's that? You don't even know.
It's called Geordie.
I'm going down the tone. It was very difficult for me to understand, you know. So then I realized that, oh, no, women don't have to go through this. Through my friends. Then I become withdrawn again. Then I came to London, Peckham, where I live. When you walk down the road, you see Sierra Leoneans, Nigerians, Ghanaians, Somalians, you know, anything, you feel at home. You feel like you're in Africa, in Peckham. So it was normal. The men there don't ask questions, you know. Sexually, you can engage without worrying, you know, thinking that, what are they thinking about me if they find out that I'm without my clitoris? I met this guy, my second child, and she is 12 years old. She's going to be 13 in March. I met the dad. He's from my community. Questions were asked. Traditional rites were passed. He think I was his property. Now, one thing they teach us when we were in the Bundo Society, you have to be totally submissive to your husband. That it means if they want sex, you lie down, they have their way. You don't have to be ready. But for me, I was in England. Things are not done like that here. Domestic violence kicked in. We fight every time. I was already pregnant. Because I was having pain, not knowing that what happened to me when I had my son was the problem. Plus, the guy was not romantic. He thinks he owns my body, you know. So my body was never ready for that. It was always painful. When I think sex, I think of the pain, so I just disconnect from that. So for me, it was very difficult. He would not understand. So I fled the relationship, already pregnant. I said to myself, oh, if I can have a baby in Africa in a worse situation, I would have this child here. Because in the hospital, I'll get a massage instead of a slap. You know, probably they offer me a cup of tea. You know what I mean? So I was encouraging myself. Baby was fine. It was time for me to go. The dates that they gave to me to give birth, I went to St. Thomas's Hospital. I was there for 4 days in labor, pain. The baby would not come. And this was 2003. The baby would not come. And for me, I was thinking, oh, maybe all of these things they said, if you talk about, you know, what happened to you while you go into the Bundo Society, a lot of things will happen to you. A lot of things go through your head. For me, I think I was going to die because if I could have a baby back home, why couldn't I have this baby here where there's lots of help? It took a Jamaican woman who changed that evening when they were trying to prepare me to go for a cesarean session. When she examined me, you know, she said to me, oh, it's because of your circumcision. That's why the baby will not come. She said, we're going to cut you near your anus to give way for the baby to come out, then we'll sew it up again. And when she did that, half an hour later, the baby was there. So that was the point for me. I never kept quiet about FGM. Everywhere I go, I want to be noticed. I want to tell people about my story. In my community, when I start to talk, people move away from me because they're scared that something bad will happen. Nobody wants to talk. You know, then some years later, I come across Layla and other campaigners because I was doing a project on my course for my dissertation. And I was so curious to know what other women in my community think about FGM, whether they feel the same way I do. So my supervisor then told me about this conference, and she even gets me a ticket to go there. And then I was sitting in the crowd, and everybody was talking, and I just raised my hand, and I said, I was caught, and I start to explain, and everybody want to know. You see, for me, speaking about my experience is where I find my strength. Just knowing that by talking, I will save another girl. Mm-hmm. By talking, I will help another woman to go through, to forget about their problems for some minutes, you know. By knowing that you have to know your body, you have to be ready physically and mentally for you to enjoy sex once you've been through FGM. Because that's what I never knew. I had my first orgasm when I was in England, and I've been sexually active since I was 18. And I had my first orgasm when I was 22. You see, so it's been pain, 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 pain. All the way. So for me, when I realized that this was the cause, I wanted every woman in my community to know and to know how to manage it. Yeah, of course, you should be able to enjoy sex. Leila, don't you think?
Oh, sexual freedom for all women, that's what I say. And orgasm is not that, it's not just FGM women who struggle with this. That's a mystery for the world.
Oh, yes.
Men are still trying to figure that one out.
Oh, yes.
My advice has always been, women, find it for yourself first and guide.
Oh, yes. But you see, my worry is, the reason why I feel so passionate about this, how many women knows that sex after FGM, there is pleasure? Yeah. Because they just know pain. Yeah. If you have a partner who would just demand sex of you and you have to lie down for them to have their way, what pleasure do you find that? No. I'll leave that for you to think. Thank you.